Go ahead, hit it. What do you got?
Masvita.
Hey, Pete, I was just wondering, regarding the 49ers defense, if you could talk about what Fred Warner does for that defense.
He's a great player. He's the leader, it seems, and he's everywhere in the run and the passing game. He's a really good blitzer. He makes big plays. You know, he comes through. But he's a really good football player, and I think they got about everything you could hope for in their middle linebacker.
Jen?
Ugo mentioned earlier in the year that during the offseason, he worked with a number of wide receivers. He also mentioned George Kittle in particular. I'm wondering how you've seen Ugo adapt to different guys that he's had to cover this year.
Yeah, he's been matching up well, and you know, he really knows how we're playing the different coverages and the techniques and stuff, so that he mixes his looks really well. He's hard to figure out. He's a good disguiser in terms of pressuring and all of that. He's not had trouble with the taller guys or the smaller guys, so he's doing good. And he's just has banked on his experience, and he's learned a lot in a short time.
Corbin?
Hey, Pete, it seems like nobody's benefited more from Carlos Dunlap's arrival than Jaron Reed. He's had 24 pressures the last 7 games, 12 quarterback hits. How specifically does having that premier proven edge guy help a rusher from the 3-tech, 1-tech role? And what have you seen specifically from Reed the last few games that's allowed him to have the success?
Well, I think in about a 7-game span, it can get you a chance to get maybe 22, 23, 24 pressures, you know. I think it's it totally, yeah, thanks. It totally helps him, you know. I mean, just the factor of the push just makes the spacing more available, you know, and makes the quarterback have to move a little bit more, and all of those things help the other guys. And so he's been a big factor, and it's not just, you know, just the rushes that he brings. It's really the difference, the breakdown of the pocket for the other guys. And Jay Reed has had a really good run from that, and that's a lot of the responsibility could be put back on what Carlos is bringing.
I was also wondering if you could provide an update on Marquise Blair. It's been a few months now since his injury. What's it looking like for him potentially being back for the offseason program?
Yeah, I haven't seen him in about 10 days now, but his spirits are good. He's working really hard. He's doing great. He's doing great on his recovery, and there's not going to be any problems with him getting back as far as everything I've heard. His spirit, the thing I like about it is his spirit is really positive and upbeat about returning, so he's working real hard at it. Thanks for asking.
Matt?
Hey, Pete, I feel like guys like Jamal Adams, Carlos Dunlap have kind of taken over the headlines defensively over the past few weeks. But Bobby Wagner, once again, putting together a Pro Bowl season, leading the team in tackles. I'm just wondering what you can say about his consistency and his contributions this year.
Yeah, I think Bobby's done a great job of being in the center of it and keeping everybody's heads in line and really helping us, you know, set the kind of the style of play and the tempo of learning and practice and all. Bobby's such a great practice player and so intent on doing everything right that he just sends a great message because he is the voice of the group. So as you know, guys have come and gone, and then they've come back to us. You know, he and KJ really in Diggsy, they've really been the steadies, you know, keeping everything connected. So Bobby's a great football player, and he continues to have, you know, huge impact, and you know, his numbers just haven't dropped off at all, and he continues to be such a big factor for us in so many ways other than just the tackles that he makes.
Bob?
Yeah, Pete, what is it about DJ Reed that's allowed him to make the transition to playing on the outside as well as he have? It seemed like most of his experience maybe coming to you guys was more inside and safety and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's got great awareness. He's got great quickness. I mean, he's got, you know, world-class quick feet, and you put that with the awareness and the savvy that he has. He can get to places. He can stick to guys. He's got a knack for making plays. He's got a you know, really good hand-eye coordination and the timing on the ball and all that. So he makes himself available for playmaking. So he's got a lot of great attributes. He's just a different package guy than we've had, you know. But he's a ball player, and I mean, all of us have seen it. We've seen it in the kick returns. We've seen everything that he's done in special teams and all of that. He just makes good decisions and good choices. He gets it. He's really bright, and you know, so he's all of those are just, you know, you check all the boxes there.
And
Is there still any chance Philip Dorsett coming back at all, or any update on him?
I don't think Philip's going to make it. I hate to cut him out of. If we were fortunate to be playing a month from now, but he's working hard. I saw him working again today in the weight room. He's busting it. He's doing a lot of good stuff, but it's going to be a haul for him to make it back.
Joe?
Back to DJ Reed. No front office is ever going to hit or bat 1,000, whether it's draft picks, free agents, whatever. But with that, how important is it to get lucky on occasion in something like this, where a guy falls in your lap, but then also, you didn't project him to be an outside corner, and now he's kind of turned into a great option for you? Is that a part of some good fortune along the way that comes with trying to get to a Super Bowl?
If I don't address this, then I'll just have to accept the fact that we're just lucky on this one. I don't think this was luck. I think John knew. John had it, and John and his guys that do the evaluations, they knew that he was a good enough football player to play nickel, safety, or corner. That's what came right in from the first day we were talking about him. So I think the quickness of his transition is what we're really surprised by, how easy it was for him to learn and to jump in. But our guys thought he was going to be a big factor for us, and think about it. We've hit some of these guys, and we've done a nice job of finding guys that can help us in this kind of situation, whether we have to trade for them or claim them. And I think it's way more than luck. I think it's the ability to discern and figure it out and know who's coaching them and the style and all that kind of stuff. And John's put all that together again, in another situation.
Sorry, that might be on me. For some reason, I thought last week or a week ago, you mentioned that you didn't view him as an outside corner when you first got him.
No, but I didn't. John did.
Okay.
That's important. So we work together, and he helps me out sometimes when I make mistakes. And fortunately, he as it started to happen, and we saw some opportunities for him to play. We got the conversation going, and I said, sure enough, let's try him. And there was no question that he could factor in. So that was the only problems there with my shortcomings.
Thanks, Pete.
John?
Yeah. Pete, what do you see out of the 49ers? I know obviously this season's been rough on them, but for them to kind of bounce back and play well against a team playing for a playoff game last week against Arizona, what does that tell you about a team when things aren't going well and they can still pull that performance?
This is a championship team. They have all of that in their heart and their background and their experience, their coaching staff, all of that. And for them to withstand all of the challenges that they've had and to hold it, and be able to come back and keep playing football games where they play really good across the board. I mean, that's just a statement of who they are. And, Kyle's done a great job with them, and Robert's done a great job with the defensive side. They're very together, and they're a tough football team regardless of what their record is. And that's deep in the makeup of the players and the coaches and all that. They've got it.
And on a related note, is it kind of strange to be finishing out in Arizona instead of down in Santa Clara?
Yeah, everything's strange. Everything's strange, John. It doesn't really matter where we play these games, because there's nobody there. It doesn't have anything to do with the venue, to us. We're pretty comfortable and familiar with going there, so that's a good thing. It'd be different if we were playing, at Stanford or something like that. But it's just been another unusual issue in a season. We're playing somebody else's stadium, so that's how it goes.
Michael Sean?
Hey, Pete, Robert Saleh is one of the few guys who's left from here and have been able to build an elite defense. Why do you think he's been able to be successful in that way when some of the other guys who have left haven't been able to?
It's an interesting way to put your question. I like that. Well, I don't know that it's that much different than the other guys. I don't know. Maybe it is. But when you have the opportunity to draft like they've been able to draft, in the past few years, you get a chance to accumulate talent, and they've done a great job of drafting, and they have benefited from. I think there was a time when they had like 4 number ones in the front 4, and stuff like that. That's who gets that chance. Washington did. That it makes sense. When those guys show up, man, it makes such a difference. This has been a defense that's been really centered around what the front 4 guys have been able to create, and so Robert's done a great job of putting it together and then taking care of the back end too. They're great against explosive plays. So all of our coaches have tried to do the same thing. I would think all of our guys would be able to benefit from the good drafting, and I think all of our guys can ball coach, and so Robert's done a magnificent job. I'm really fired up for his future and what's coming up, and totally endorse his ability to take on the next level and be a head coach and do it really well. But I did everything I could to avoid answering the question the way you asked me.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
But to DJ Reed, is he, with his size, is he maybe an example of how important like maybe short area quickness becomes in a league where guys are lining up with bunch formations and stuff versus maybe the length and long arm guys that you guys made popular to value?
Well, why'd you bring up short when you're talking about DJ? I don't understand. There's in this game of football, there ain't nothing that replaces quickness. You know, quickness is one of the most important elements in all phases of every position that you play. And when you have, it's like an example is like Doug Baldwin. Doug Baldwin had magnificent quickness and foot change of direction, COD and stuff, and it made him a great player. DJ's got a chance to be an excellent football player over a long haul because he has that special element, and it makes up for so many other things, you know. And so there's one of the things I have to do well is be able to adapt to the different makeups of the players, you know, and what they bring us, and not be short-sighted and closed-minded. You know, we guys can only come in one size and shape and all that. And so this is a good opportunity and illustration of that. You know, way back in the day when I was at the Jets, we drafted Aaron Glenn as a first-round corner, you know, and he was about the same size as DJ is, but there again, you know, there was the special qualities outweighed any of the kind of the categories you'd like to put a guy in. So, but the other part of the question, let's not talk about corners. I think for the other positions, the safeties, the linebackers, the game being more opened up and the field being more, you know, more available to the quarterbacks and all, the quickness does make a difference. And you're seeing smaller linebackers play, and the safeties and linebackers they cross over, and at times that's to get the athleticism and the quickness on the field because of the space that we're playing in. In the old days, you know, there's a lot of tight formations. Everybody jumping over the pile and it's 3 yards in a cloud of dust. So you needed to be big and strong and stout and, you know, and all that. That's not the game we're playing anymore. And you're right in observing that. Right.
Art?
Pete, we're coming up on Black Monday for NFL coaches, and I'm wondering who or what has informed your decision-making regarding the hiring of assistant coaches as well as the managing of staffs.
Say who or what? Say it again. Who would you say? Who or what? I was distracted by you and Greg wearing your U-boat outfits. You know, I thought maybe you guys were, you know, where'd you park your U-boat? There you go. I'm sorry. Yeah, will you start all over again? That's just me being screwed up. I apologize for that.
That's all right. It's a 15-yard unsportsmanlike. Who or what has informed you about hiring assistant coaches as well as managing staffs during the season? Do you have a couple of prime directives and what governs your decision making?
That's an interesting question. No. No, I don't have anybody other than John and I talk through everything. You know, I mean, we just try to figure stuff out. I don't know where I would go, but I would say this in making decisions. You know, I'm constantly drawn to talking to people that I know real well, who know the people that we're dealing with, and to try to, you know, glean as much information as we can about an individual, makeup, background, history, how they react, what their, you know, their demeanor, you know, their mentality, all that kind of stuff. We try to draw all the information in that we can. So in that regard, you know, I'll use anybody that can help me, and John is the primary guy that I deal with if I was going to lean on somebody, you know. But then there are coaches that I have faith in that, you know, that I know for a long time and really trust, you know, what they know and see, and I'll listen to them carefully as well, you know. So is that what you getting at, kind of?
Well, I didn't know if anybody in your past, you know, either in the first 2 times in the NFL have influenced you as far as what to look for and what to avoid in coaching.
Yeah, I couldn't even pinpoint it because it's just been such a, you know, a menagerie of people and all that. But really, I think in the years at USC, when I was really in charge of everything and there was nobody else there to even talk to, you know, those 9 years there we had a lot of movement and guys coming and going and all that. And I think I had to generate my own expectations and my own standards to you know, because I only had guys on my staff or friends that I could talk to, so I didn't have anybody in the organization at all. And I would say that I do have some particular people that I lean on, the ones that that I've known over the years that I really can count on, guys that I know really well. Carl Smith would be a guy in particular that, he and I knew a lot of coaches, and we would do our homework on guys, and I always relied on Carl to help out and stuff, and so. Yeah.
Jackie?
Hey, Coach, going back to the 49ers, how valuable is their fullback, Juszczyk, and what does he bring to their offense?
Oh, man, he does everything. He's a great player. He is as meaningful a part of an offense as any player in the NFL. I mean, he just, other than the quarterback position, he has so much that he offers an offense, and he's so good at so many things. I think he's in the Pro Bowl for the 5th or 6th time or something in a row, because he's the only one doing what he does. He's that special. He can play tight end. He can be out of the backfield. He can lead, on all the blocking principles that they have. He can carry the football. He's good in the red zone. He's good in short yardage. He's just a great football player, and I think it's a really great statement that Kyle made when he chose him. Early on, he went out and sought him out and paid him, and knew exactly what he was going to do with him. And boy, they haven't missed a beat. He's really a big time player.
And then you mentioned the quarterback, C.J. Beathard, expected to start. What do you see on film from him?
He looks very similar to the other quarterbacks as they've played. They get the ball out really fast. They make good, quick decisions. They're good on the perimeter. They don't expose the ball. I mean, he hasn't thrown a pick yet, and big, strong. And when he has a chance to run, he's made yards, So that's kind of like Jimmy and all their guys. They've been pretty much the same, So the offense really functioned well last week, in his big start, and they look really good.
Curtis?
Yeah, Pete, back when you made all your draft picks this spring, you guys focused on getting guys you thought could be ready to play quick, and given all the circumstances of the year and so forth. Now that we're here at the end of the regular season and those guys have had a chance to, how do you kind of think that decision's worked out for you with the guys that you brought in, the impact they've been able to have this first season, and how much do you think that'll kind of inform where you guys go in the future with your decision making in that regard?
Yeah, we have got really good results from these guys. These guys have all factored in and done something to help us win, and other than the fact we haven't been able to get Darryl out, all the rest of the guys have really fit in, and it hasn't been too big for any of them. They've been able to handle it. They've responded well. They've played well early, and they're growing now. And the guys are, experienced players for us and contributing. And so I think there's nothing to change us. I think moving forward from that, the care that we took in the individual guys and who they were in their makeup. I think it was really important for us, and I don't know why we would change. We really liked this class. If we could do it again, we'd be thrilled.
Greg?
I like the U-boat thing, Pete. I've never gotten that before. Thank you. Appreciate it. Chris Carson talked to us before the season about his contract. He wants to be in Seattle. He made it sound like he wanted to have one already. Where do you think his head is on that, and where the motivation might be now that he's coming back after the injury and a big chunk of his contract year he lost to injury?
I think Chris is really one of us, and he's fit into the program great. I think what he said, I think he obviously means, and but I do know, Chris has got to look out for himself, and so he's got to see what the situation is. But we would love for him to be with us. He's been a terrific part of our team, and hopefully we can we can keep that going. I mean, in my mind, I can't imagine anything else happening. But from the business side of it, he's got a chance to see what's going on, and so. Hopefully we'll be able to figure it out and keep him.
This is kind of high praise, but is he as close to the Marshawn Lynch persona at running back that you've had since Lynch was in his heyday?
Yeah. I think his style is so obvious. I mean, I just love the way he does it, and I mean, there's only one Marshawn. Marshawn's one of a kind, and he was an extraordinary everything in player and mentality and everything that he was about. One of a kind. But as far as hitting the line of scrimmage and letting guys know, who you're playing against, and leaving the message behind when he hits you, and the creativity, his hand-eye coordination, beautiful catching ability, all that kind of stuff. I think he's he's what we're looking for, and that's why Carlos was such an important get for us too, because Carlos is very similar in that regard. Both those guys really bring it, and we love that style of play, and it adds to us and gives us the approach that we can play off of.
Okay, thank you.
See you.
Bobby Wagner is here. John Boy, you got a question for Bobby?
I do. Bobby, we didn't talk to you after the game. Just what does it mean to be NFC West champs again? And this year in particular, with how good the division was and everything going on in the world, just what a challenging year it's been for everybody. What does that mean to come out on top?
I think it kind of means everything. I think the goal that we always set every year is to win, our division. And we have a very, very tough division. That's outside of all the other aspects that we have. All the teams in our division are really, really good. And so to come out as a top in this division says a lot about us, says a lot about our focus, our discipline, because it has been a challenging year.
Tim?
Hey, Bobby, got two for you. What has this year been like when you're playing at home and actually being able to communicate verbally with guys, when in the past it's always been hand signals because of the noise and the home field advantage?
It's been different. Personally, I like not being able to hear, because I know the offense can't hear either. So, I know offense prepare when they come into Lumen Field. They prepare for being able to have that communication. And so, this year's been unique. You've been able to hear the coaches on the sideline. So all the stuff that they say on the sideline that you don't normally get to hear, you get to hear them, which is always interesting. And, I can't wait for the fans to be able to be back in the building.
Do you think the lack of fans this year and the lack of home field advantage sort of league-wide has shown the talent of the better teams, and you're seeing, the more quality teams being more successful?
You could say that to an extent, maybe. I think when you go into, as a road team going into somebody's stadium, it's not as difficult because you don't have to worry about the fans being a part of the game. So maybe that aspect of the game is different. But, it's kind of like the bubble in NBA. It kind of just makes everything kind of flatten out, and whoever's the best team that day is going to win.
Jen?
Given the fact the division title is already locked up, is there anything that you need to caution the team against this weekend about whether it's letting down or not playing with the same intensity?
No, I think if you watch, the 49ers play last week and the way they came out against Arizona, you understand that they're going to come out and give you their best. They don't care, where they've been at. They're going, they've been in Arizona for, I don't know how long, but, they're going to fight, and we're going to fight too, because there's still stuff out there for us to get. I think we have like a 5% chance or whatever that percent chance is to get in the bye. So we still have stuff that we need to lock in and focus on. So, and you don't want to have that mental drought going into the playoffs. So everybody needs to stay locked in. Everybody knows that's where we're at with it. And, coaches' messages, our messages kind of been that way.
Michael Sean?
Hey, Bobby, the heat was on Ken midway through the season when you guys weren't playing well. Do you think we should be eating some crow at the moment now that you guys have turned it around as it pertains to Ken?
I don't know if y'all should be eating some crow, but I definitely think that there's some praise. I think oftentimes when something's not going right, everybody is quick to have a negative opinion. But then when it's fixed or when it does something, when it changes, that positive side of it doesn't necessarily get, as pushed out there or as amplified as the negative side. So I would say, for everybody who was, talking trash or having their negative opinion about Nort, I would like to hear, the positive just as loud as the negative. You know what I mean? So that's what I would say. For us, we didn't never focus on it. We understood it wasn't just him. We understood it was all of us. We all played a part in, what we were doing in the beginning of the season versus where we are now. And so he deserves a lot of praise. He deserves a lot of, he's a big reason for why we're able to change it around. And I would like to hear a little bit more positivity. That would be my answer to that.
Thanks.
Greg?
Bobby, before the season, you talked about the self-discipline it was going to take to get through this. What has been the hardest test of that self-discipline, either for you or you think teammates?
I think the biggest thing is just the questions that you have to ask yourself, when you think about making certain decisions, even when it comes to family. If normally you have family come into town and, on a regular year, that's okay. But this year, maybe it's a family member you haven't seen for a long period of time. It could even be your kids that you haven't seen for a long period of time, and you have to really question, whether it's safe or how they're traveling or things of that nature. And so, that's been, I think, the toughest part is just, really having to kind of distance yourself from people that you generally see, all the time because of the situation. And so, I know a lot of guys have family situations. I know a lot of guys have, wives, kids, things of that nature that, play a part in this thing. So some guys haven't been able to see their family. Some guys have been. And so it's just been a different element for everybody. And I would say the family aspect would be the biggest adjustment that I think everybody had to make.
Have you had to say no to some visitor?
Yeah, definitely had to.
And without getting personal, how was that conversation? I imagine it wasn't very easy.
I mean, they know I'm pretty locked in during the season, and so it wasn't too hard.
Art?
Bobby, last year's final game against the 49ers had plenty of drama, plenty of stakes, and I just wondered, in terms of agonizing losses in your career, where does that one fit in terms of being an inch short of winning the division?
I never really thought about it. I'm pretty sure we had some losses that, were not so great. I think the ones that stand out are obviously the Super Bowl, the 2012 era when we went to Atlanta. That was it was my first year in the playoffs. I'm a rookie and not knowing what to expect. And so, you just assume you're going to win every single game. So when we lost that game, that one kind of hit me a little hard. So I don't know if that ranks top 5, but, when you lose, it's not a great feeling.
Matt?
Bobby, I feel like every season kind of has its own feel, both from a team standpoint and an individual standpoint. I'm just curious with you, you're back in the Pro Bowl, leading the team in tackles. Was this just another, run-of-the-mill year for you, or did something stand out from an individual standpoint for you?
You can never classify this year as a normal year because, like I said, there's a lot of difficulties, whether it was, COVID, trying to figure out a place to work out, trying to stay in shape, coming into the season. I'm pretty sure a lot of people had questions of whether or not we were going to finish the season. And so that, having that thought process. But at the end of the day, like, I'm a professional and I love the game of football. And so I'll find a way. So for me, it was just more so finding a way to lock in more, finding a way to be more disciplined and, getting the job done. Because I feel like there's been worse circumstances in my life. So this is not nothing, in my opinion.
Jackie?
Hey, Bobby. Making the playoffs for you guys is just something that is expected to happen. For someone like Jamal Adams, who's going to the playoffs for the first time in his career, what sort of conversations do you have with him about this?
Now enjoy it. Enjoy it. A lot of us, like myself, KJ, and a few other guys have made the playoffs, and so maybe seeing somebody like Jamal or seeing somebody like Diggs or seeing somebody like those guys have that genuine passion for making the playoffs kind of reminds you, that this is not the norm. You know what I mean? Like, there's guys don't always get to the playoffs, and so be grateful and appreciative of these moments. And so that's kind of what I, tell them, like, be grateful for these moments. These are great moments. The playoffs is really fun. The whole world is watching, and it's going to be a really, really fun time. And I kind of just, admire his energy.
And then really quick, looking at the 49ers, we didn't see Jeff Wilson the last time you guys played him. What type of runner is he?
He's someone that likes to finish the runs. That's the biggest thing that pops off the tape. When he's, after he gets his yards, he looks for context. And so, that's something as a linebacker you admire. And, someone who doesn't run out of bounds, someone who, wants to try to find, not only find the right read, make the right hole, hit the right hole, but, finish off the run with physicality is something that, I look forward to.
Corbin?
Hey, Bobby, you guys are the first team in NFL history to, in the first 9 games of the year, give up 300 or more passing yards per game and then come out and cut that by more than 160 yards. You guys have cut your scoring almost 16 points per game the last 7 games. Have you at any point in your football career ever been on a team that had such a stark difference from one half to the next half of the season?
Well, I would say, given this NFL history, I'd probably say no to that question. I don't know. I think, I think the early part of the season, it was just a lot of things that need to happen that hadn't happened yet. Like whether it was us having time to gel together, having the guys out there playing with one another for a long period of time. And so I think what you're seeing is the product of that, us being able to be on the field, at the same time, getting guys healthy, everybody being able to play and learn from one another. I definitely feel like that's been the biggest thing as far as my career. I think we've had moments earlier in the career, maybe 2013, 14, 15, where we weren't finishing games. We were being put in positions where, the game was on the line. It was up to us to stop the teams, and they would score. And, it would either be the offense had to save us or we would lose the game. And so that was kind of a transition for us. But I haven't had nothing like this happen.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Last question for Bobby. Brady?
Hey, Bobby, you told us about your routine before and how you usually at the same place at the same time every morning. When did you adopt that? Why? And did anybody give you the idea for that, or how did that come about?
Honestly, I didn't even know that I was doing it until somebody pointed it out to me. They talked to me about routine, they talked to me about discipline and those things, but I never really thought about it until somebody pointed it out to me. Like when I was eating the same thing, it's just because I liked the food. And so I was just eating the food that I knew I liked. And when I was in the same position, I wasn't even paying attention until somebody left a note on the table because they knew I was going to be in that spot at that time. And so I would ask them, why did you leave that note there? What if I didn't show up? And it's well, I know you was going to be there. So in doing that, I was like, okay, let me pay more attention to some of the things that I do, and then let me try to tweak those things. So it was more of me being conscious of what I was doing that I wasn't conscious of, and then it was figuring out what worked. What I did that allowed me to have a good game, I try to mimic that the best way possible, and then that's how everything kind of came to fruition. It's just me trying to repeat feelings, food, moments that allow me to have a decent game.
I got to ask you about the note. What was the story behind that? Who left it?
I can't tell you. I was a little person, so I'll leave that out.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, everyone.
We're good? All right, cool. Happy holidays.
Thanks, Bobby. I think that's it today, everybody. Happy New Year. I think that's it today, everybody. Happy New Year.